Well, we've got to get ready to go to Magic Millions in January, 16th of January. That's when the sale is, and got to find
a great sale.
Yeah, and there's some good horses there. That's the big sale. But you've got to subscribe to our channel, please, because we need to keep you informed. We're starting to put up a lot of issues, a lot of stuff's going on to the show. Every day we're putting up previews of race meetings, and there's going to be all our previous interviews, archives. We're going to archive them so that anything you missed, you'll be able to watch. And if you subscribe, you're going to get a notification. You just got to subscribe and put the notification bell on, and you'll get a notification. Everything comes up. We need to grow this channel, and we're going to grow it into a very good sporting channel and betting channel. For those of you that want information, we're going to have professional punters on here, professional previewers, people who know exactly what they're talking about. Let's move into the sport, because we're professionals at sport, and start with the rugby, which was a triumph for South Africa, a triumph for England. England got rid of the Kiwi. There it is, gets kicked to touch.
In fine style.
Fine style. They look very good.
They looked excellent. Very good team.
Eddie Jones, genius. And he's got John Mitchell with him, another genius. Yeah. That's the key. And I think that they might just outthink Rassie this weekend.
Rassie says every time he loses, he changes his shirt. He's superstitious. Now he's got the white one on for a few games. He thinks it could be his lucky shirt.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think it is.
Superstitious.
There was a very nice thing on Facebook. I follow Facebook a bit now. There's the Winning Ways show. And Natalie Davis looked very good in her English shirt.
Yeah, her and her daughter.
Yeah. They look different class in English shirts. They did the English shirts proud. I don't think Steve was wearing an English shirt.
No, he wasn't in the photo.
He wasn't in the photo. Okay, let's move on to the soccer, where you people got drilled again.
Yeah, we got beat again. Our record is
woeful.
Yeah, away record, a raid record especially.
Any light at the end of the tunnel?
No, they played well enough in patches. You know, when Song went round the keeper to make it 2-0 and hit the crossbar, those big swings. But Liverpool were the better side. They always are at home. They threw a lot of... Our keeper was our man of the match. He made some great saves.
You're so lucky you haven't got Lloris anymore.
This is a throw-out from Southampton
If Lloris was there, you would have had 6 past you.
Possibly. Yeah. Possibly, but then again, Aurea, what does he do? But again, Mane just jumps in front of a man who's trying to kick a ball away, and it's a penalty. Anyway, VAR came under a lot of scrutiny, especially in the Man United game with the handballs and tackles. You know, refs are not calling them, and now the VAR, who've taken a lot of flack, or refs, are starting to go against their referee's decision. Some of them are really crazy, and then there's a lot of flack about it. The only thing they're getting right is the offside at the moment, where you're guaranteed it's going to be done.
Well, right. I saw one shoulder to shoulder, and the VAR made it a penalty, gave it a penalty. Now,
every person on the planet
what's the point of the game if you're not allowed to go shoulder to shoulder?
Right.
And then later on in the evening, there was another one shoulder to shoulder. No one did a damn thing about it.
They went in, and the guy who got the penalty went in much harder with his shoulder. And he got the penalty. That to me, even the commentator said, absolute rubbish. You can't have that. But... You know, there's discord in your camp when Shaka went off, you know.
Well, Shaka's he's a clown. Well, he shouldn't be allowed to play.
Made him club captain, you know.
That was the worst thing that they ever did. You think that he'd get a bit of responsibility. He's got more yellow cards than any other Arsenal player.
Yeah.
So, and you make him captain, you think that, okay, now make him the leader and give him some responsibility. He's going to go and do something about it. You know, it's the same as when they made
Itzebeth captain. I don't think he's got it, James. I've always thought I don't think he's got it. And you know what?
Of course he hasn't got it.
You know what gets me? VAR is showing up how bad the refs are too.
Yeah.
Soho gets taken down. It's a blatant penalty. He gives him a yellow card for diving.
Yeah.
VAR comes, says penalty, and they rescind the card. Come on. You know, let's get it right. The refs have been shown up to be muppets.
Yeah.
But I still think the league's going to be tight. We're a quarter way through. Liverpool lead by 6.
Liverpool are going to win in a canter. I told you from the beginning.
Is that might or guaranteed?
Yeah, guaranteed. No, they're guaranteed. You can be with them, start backing. Don't stop between now and the end of the season.
Okay.
You'll get the cash.
I think Man City have got a better team than them, but they're 6 in front.
Okay.
And then, Jim, what about golf? You love your golf. You're a passionate golfer.
Well, Tiger Woods won his 82nd World Tour tournament, which makes him the leading tournament winner of all time. He broke Sam Snead's record.
He equaled him. He equals
Snead.
He equals
Snead's record.
Snead, you know. And you know the funny thing about his win? 23 years ago was his first win, and he started off on day one bogey, 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 and he shot 19 under.
Yeah, he's brilliant.
He's brilliant.
I love him. I think he's just
yeah,
great.
me, I love watching him play.
He's a
what about
proper
in Portugal?
Yeah, Portugal was exciting.
Yes.
And why it was exciting was we had Brandon Stone leading the tournament going into the final round, two ahead. Now everyone is fighting for their tour card for next year. 115 is the cutoff. It's like watching the Comrades Marathon
Position
at 6
115.
o'clock. Yeah, 115 is the cutoff. Like watching the Comrades Marathon
Yes.
at 6 o'clock in the evening. But you know what? You can come run the Comrades next year. If you finish 116 or worse, you get a conditional card which gives you some tournaments. But if you finish 115 or better, you get into the tour next year. Now, Justin Walters 6 years ago lost his mother. Now, we know Justin Walters because you know Barry Walters from Pumalela? It's his nephew, okay? His brother's son. And a lovely guy, Justin, and he's had tremendous setbacks in his life and his career. You know, he's lost the vision in 40% of his eye. His right eye got stabbed by a thorn or whatever.
Ooh.
But he was no chance of making his tour card.
Yes.
He had to shoot a great round. Well, he was in the lead going into the last few holes and ended up finishing joint second with Brandon Stone. But he got his card, which is fantastic for him. And he gets into the Turkish Open, which is the first leg of the race to Dubai. The other guy who got his card was Brandon Stone for finishing second. But more importantly was the Englishman. And the Englishman got his card for winning the tournament, Stephen Brown. I mean,
Herman's nephew.
Yeah, he was 150th in the race to Dubai at the beginning of the tournament. He finished well inside the top 115 and got exempt status for a couple of years. Fantastic. Guy, 32-year-old pro battler, got in.
Well
okay.
done.
So Woods and it was fabulous golf, but then MotoGP, you know, Marc Marquez again wins, canters in, and then picture there we have Brad Binder, who won GP2.
He's good.
Brad Binder.
He's very good.
He's now only he's third on the GP2 list. He's won the last two MotoGPs GP2. He rides GP1 next year for his team, KTM. Louis Huerson will tell us all about it. He knows all about these guys. Fantastic, absolutely fabulous riding from both of them in Australia. Just getting back to the golf in Portugal, the English beat us. Is that an omen for the weekend?
Could be. Could be. Horse Racing, he's superstitious.
Okay. Grand Prix, Hamilton won again.
Mexico.
Boring.
Yeah.
I think Vettel tossed his chances. He got a wheel nuts caught on the. You just don't understand it. You know, he couldn't get the guy at the back. All his job is to take the wheel nut off and put a new wheel nut on. He got it stuck at 6 seconds in the pits instead of 1.5 seconds, cost him the Grand Prix. Anyway, so that was Ferrari's tale of woe, and as you know, I'm a Ferrari supporter. Let's go and see what horses we got to follow. We start at Turfentine on the 26th of October, and Jeff Woodruff for David Shaw brought out the son of Silvana, Spanish boy. This won well. Let's go and see.
Yeah, it's drawn very deep, and it was turned out beautifully. Gav Larina's comeback ride, he's such a good rider. And it lost favoritism late to the runner-up here, a horse called Will o' the Wisp. You know what's interesting, James? I was listening to the preview before the race, and they said this horse might just need it, whatever. Then the winning jockey comes in and said, Jeff Woodruff phoned me up and said, here's your winning ride. Your comeback ride will be a winning ride. Why did we know that before?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But exactly. Anyway, and you know, I saw a comment in the Cape on a trainer that a stable is not a betting stable. Yeah. So they said had a grass gallop and should be running on. What does that tell you? You know, that is, there should be a list of 6 comments, and you tick one of them. Okay.
Yeah. Here we go. Just get back to the race. Spanish boy, sparkling debut, quickened away from the runner-up who comes back in the red, and. Will o' the Wisp, but this was a very good debut. It gets to the frontier. Its first run from a deep draw, beautifully bred horse. The owner, I think, was on course, and Will o' the Wisp, we got backed into favourite late after the comments that they thought might need it, comes flying.
Yeah, well, that's, when I see a horse go past another horse at the top of the straight, and then the other horse comes back at him, gets beaten half a length, I always look at the head on, and I wasn't impressed. Anyway, we'll move on from there and look at the Vaal Classic. And the 24th of October, Carino for the Michael Azzi stable. Sorry, the last one was bred by Lammerskral, Spanish boy.
Yes.
It's out of Western Wintermere. So let's go and have a look at Spanish boy at Carino winning at the Vaal on the classic track. First time out as well. Very impressive.
Yeah, James, very impressive. It eventually won by 8 1/4, and it's for the Azzies. Callum Murray rides it for Gaynor. And it gets up into speed very quickly, horses showing pace, so Carino, Majesty, Ria, Footsteps in the Rain, they're trying to get a bit of speed into this race. And as they turn for home, Callum elects to go up the middle with this one, Jim.
Yeah, well, she just quickens up well past him. Orchid Express was there, that had shown some form, that's on her inside, and she just ran past them. Varnica was the horse that was fancied in the race. Didn't run any type of race with the blinkers first time on.
Yeah.
But yeah, this filly, she's out of Stratos. Michael Azzi trained Stratos,
Very
the
good
Jetmaster mare,
Yeah.
owned by Team Valor.
No, the Stratos, it wasn't. They might have had it in the end. Wasn't it that boy, the big Greek lad?
Yeah, Team Valor ended up owning her.
Is it? The big Greek lad owned it.
And she's bred by Dragonstein and owned by Dragonstein. But here she just canters away from them. Another nice Duke of Marmalade fillies. He certainly throws fillies that look like they can run. Duke of Marmalade.
The Group 1 winner.
Yeah, certainly. And that was pretty impressive. And to think that she'll go on. We know that they're pretty sharp when they come from Michael Azzi. But this looks like it's got ability. The third one, Divas Express.
Yes.
Durbanville, 22nd of October, from the very powerful Nell Yard. Anthony Andrews rode it, and glad to see he rode a winner on Sunday at Fairview in the big day.
Yeah, he rode a winner for the same connections.
Let's go and pick it up.
It's a grey horse. It's easy to find. It's a small field.
Yeah.
And let's have a look at it.
Divas Express, when they end up clicking onto it, there you go. You'll see it there. Falls out the pens.
Yeah.
Tucks in behind.
Yeah, it's soon in behind. There's 5 horses, and it looks interesting race. Queen of Quiet goes up in the blue silks on the inside, and Noble Freedom's up there. And the horse we found is green on the corner, and young Mr. Andrews is saying, get the hang of it, but the others are gone.
Yeah, she turns into the straight. She always looks like she's lugging out, but he does the right thing. He goes straight up the inside, give her something to run against, up the rail to run against. And he doesn't beat her to death, this filly. He just punches her out, gets her to run. And she's starting to make progress up the inside, and he just gives her a pretty quiet ride to just make sure that she comes out of this okay. She looks like she's got some ability out of a Fanatic Dame mare by Trippy, and past the post she was in front.
Yeah, funny enough, the winner, Harold Crawford's birthday, so wonderful for Harold, And,
well done, Harold.
Well done, Harold, a nice winner of this Noble Rhythm.
Yeah, just talking about, we were just saying about PE, because they got the big race there in PE, and it was Glenn Cotson won it.
Very good weekend, Glenn.
Yeah, very good weekend. What annoyed me was the starting stalls, that it seems unnecessary, doesn't it? The starting stalls malfunction,
what's it, gate 1 and 2 or something?
Gate 1 and 2, but there was a false start, the pens weren't opening properly.
Yeah.
You'd think the biggest day, all these things get ironed out.
You don't expect them to, I agree with you, but you don't expect them to go wrong.
Don't have things like this happen on big days. It doesn't happen at
Algoa Cup, James. I heard the commentator saying there's a wall there with all the winners on.
Yeah.
You can get Lafferty's name there.
Is it?
Oh, no, Jeff
you
Lloyd.
Crack it for the Algoa Cup.
Yeah, Shining Rock or something. Yeah. Jeff Lloyd wrote it for me.
Well done, eh?
Thank
Jeff
you.
Lloyd.
Jeff Lloyd, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, listen, this is what I think of your horses. Let's go and have a look at what can happen if you're a little inebriated. We had to take the sound out here because I was told by my head honcho here that you can't say fuck on this show, but there you go. Okay, so let's go watch it without the sound.
Los hom uit, jy's gesy.
Kan nie,
Kan
Jos.
nie perd as jy gesy
Ek
is nie.
kan hom ry.
Los.
Ek doen dit. Dis Vrydag. Ek kan enige ding ry.
Nou maar goed. Ry die ding.
Watch net. Ek wil wys watch. Ek
Ja,
ken
jy's
die perd.
slim.
Ek het groot geword
Slim.
van dit.
Ek sien hoe ry jy.
Ja,
Jy
jy
moet
sal
ons
sien.
kop, Chuck Norris.
Kom pakkie, kom. Daar gaat ons.
Waar waar?
Waar toe best. Hey!
Vang hom.
He didn't even get a kick. Anyway, we're gonna go back to having a couple of these things because we think they're quite amusing, and there's lots of funny horse clips around, which we'll bring you something of. But let's go and have a look at the races we had on the big weekend. Start of the big Cape season. Oh, it's just getting going now, and we start off with the Cape Classic, which was the Coles version. This is a very nice horse. Vaughan Marshall every year finds one that can run. He had one world last year. This looks like a worthy successor. Let's go and pick him up at this 800.
He's down at the rail. Captain Tatters moves past him up on the outside. They being followed further back then by 3-2 Charlie, who's 7-8 lengths off the lead. Sashdev from a bad draw has found the rail and he'll corner about 8 lengths off them. McThief is racing in behind that. General Franco will corner back one from last, and King of Gems corners at the back of the field. They're homeward bound now. They're in line for home. They've just over 400 metres left to go. Hubble, the leader, along the inside. Snow Report, the first one to move in and challenge. Silver Operator now starts to unwind. A good-looking run in the centre, and it's Silver Operator who's now come forward to pick it up. Captain Tatters is chasing hard in behind that. Silver Operator out in front. Captain Tatters trying to wear him down in behind them. Seventh gear starts to kick on late. Silver Operator, Captain Tatters, Silver Operator lasting long enough. Silver Operator just wins it from Captain Tatters. In behind them, seventh gear was up for third. They were then followed across the line by Prince of Persia.
Well, the Claverflate bred son of Silvano out of Captain Al mare. That seems like a cross that might work very well in the future. Anton Marcus just got back and up to his old tricks,
Great
playing
rider,
them on a
great
break.
rider.
Yeah.
And amazing the influence of the success of Vaughan Marshall with the influence of Captain Allen and all these horses. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah,
So-
he trained the horse and had the confidence to be with him when he went to stud. And he
took his
changed
sons
Vaughan's,
to
he changed
stud.
Vaughan's life, that horse.
Yeah,
You know, one
absolutely.
horse can change your life.
Fantastic. And he's done a great job with them.
Yeah.
The runner-up ran a good race. I think it's a Give Me the Green Light.
I thought that ran extremely well, and
And
certainly
keep an eye on the third horse for the Derby. There was Canamere's horse, very nice.
Yeah. Well,
Very-
but he's like Captain Al out of a Oaks winner, cherry on the top. So it shows you the influence Captain Al. If you put him to
Anything.
the right mare, they go a bit of ground, you know.
Yeah, that's
and everyone
right.
seems to think he's a sprinting
Well,
side.
he won the Met.
Yeah.
Hill 54 was a Captain L.
Okay, let's go and have a look at the Cape Fillies Championship, which is the Group 2, and this was the Fillies one, which looked a lot more open. The favourite, Pretty Young Thing, had a bad draw to overcome, but I thought that the winner was exceptionally ridden by Morne Winner. Let's go and pick him up.
How does this guy beat the draw? Oh, it's too late. He's come over and he's got it up beautifully placed in second on the fence, Marcus.
Tina further back in running. Drama Queen is racing just in behind that, and that leaves Athalia at the back of a strung out field as they start to take the angle for home, and they have just on 500 metres left to go. They straighten up now in the third runway. Will Bring the Field for Home has opened up a good lead. Down towards the inside, Pretty Young Thing is racing back in second. They being followed by Roll in the Hay third. World Radar races in behind that. But third runway is well clear as they come to the final 200, and third runway is giving them a galloping lesson. Down the inside, Pretty Young Thing is trying hard to cut back a deficit, but third runway is in front and clear. Third runway, Not for Catching, goes on to win. In behind them, Pretty Young Thing stays on for second. Got tight for third. Maybe Roll in the Hay just ahead of Driving Miss Daisy.
Glenn Godson, what a weekend, and well done to him and Morne Vinay. You know, they had the two big race winners, and I think Morne Vinay is probably one of the best rides he's ever ridden.
Yeah, clever
You know,
ride.
to have the confidence to go up there and run past Marcus, who's in front, make your own pace, kick away from him, and then hang on. I thought it was a fabulous ride, and well done to him. He's just
Absolutely.
know.
Absolutely. Good ride.
by Gimme the Green Light, out of Blackman Alouche mare, bred by Fast Fontaine.
Yeah.
Perennial top breeders they are. And a good win for the Bamfords, who've been in racing forever. You know, I think that they had horses with Mike Bass for a long time.
Okay.
So well done to them. Well done to Glenn. Glenn, I had a chat to him on Thursday or Friday. He said he's got some very, very nice horses, and hoping for, you know, things to come go the right way.
No, it looks good at the moment.
So that's very good indeed. And those were the two, and then obviously the Algo Cup, which we've chatted about. And then we'll talk about our news. We've got some interesting news. And Australia's where the big racing's starting, because we're getting ready for the Melbourne Cup. So you start with the Caulfield Cup,
Yeah,
and that's won by the Japanese.
that's right. Yeah.
Okay. Murder Grace
Murder Grace,
won the Caulfield Cup. Then you go to the Cox Plate. Japanese again. So now it's not only the English and the Europeans that got to worry about it, the Japanese are coming to get them, which is very upsetting for the Australians, because Lise Gracieux was the favourite, Damien Lane, Yoshito Yahagi. He's a dapper man, Yoshito Yahagi.
I saw him walking, yes, I saw his
beautiful suit, Yoshito Yahagi. He came to town, took the Cox Plate from them, and it's by Heart's Cry, this horse.
That's right, yeah.
So now what happens in the Melbourne Cup? Not only do the Aussies have to worry about the Europeans.
The Irish and the Europeans.
And I see Huntinghorn won his warm-up. He'll be a big player.
Yeah.
And they go worry about the Japanese as well. So we said they'll never win another Melbourne Cup. Well, now, and maybe they won't run the first three in another Melbourne Cup. Anyway, just talking about the Japanese, Almond Eye.
Yes.
She came out and won her first run back from winning the Dubai Turf. She won the Group 1 in Japan. And
great horse.
She is fantastic. And she's from the family of El Gran Senior and Try My Best. I think it's her 7th or 8th Group 1. So she's pretty useful.
I wanted to ask you about... let me ask you about something else. Loving Gabby. I'm Invincible, still flying for the Yarraman Park boys as a stallion.
11th Group 1 winner.
Manikato.
9th Group 1 winner, 9th Group 1 winner. Won the Manikato, which is fantastic for them. The name is Loving Gabby. She's owned by Phoenix Thoroughbreds, and trained by the Maher Eustace
Eustace.
Karen Maher. And
Jim, why was
Craig Williams
the Grand Criterium in France only 3 runners? What was the story there?
Ends up 3 runners, Group 1.
Yeah.
The one horse reared in the pens.
So it was 2 left.
Elson, who's by Arian, is German bred.
Right.
Arian's German, out of Galileo mare, out of a Monson mare. Ended up winning it and beat Armory, which is O'Brien horse. 142,000 euros for winning, and 57,000 euros for running second. And that's the way it should be. If you enter for a race, you get paid. That's what should happen. Talking about entering for races and getting paid, Chad Brown was the leading trainer in Belmont for their Belmont season. And a guy called Manny Franco, who's a young jockey, I think he's 24 years old. He was the leading rider with 44 wins at Belmont. Sure. There's a couple of the stallion fees have come out. Quality Road, he's gone to 200,000.
Wow,
Tapit and Medaglia Dora.
All 200 grand.
Yeah. So they're the big ones. And then obviously Maximum Security, that is comeback run. He won the Bold Ruler in a common canter.
Yeah, so good horse.
Interesting to see where he goes. We got Ted Hughes on the show. Chat to him about his life. Here's a man who loves racing, always been involved in horses in one way or another, good equestrian. He's ridden in all types of horse sports. He played polo, he was an amateur rider, and he's a trucker today, Ted, but he still loves the game and still involved, and you'll find out his story because we've got a 2-part series, so we start with part 1. Enjoy Ted Hughes. Well, we're now able to chat to anyone we want to on air, and as a result, we've got in some very, very interesting people to come and talk to us here on Winning Ways, and none other than Ted Hughes. Now, a lot of you might not know Ted Hughes because he's a low-profile guy, but he is one of the best-dressed guys at the racecourse, always got a proper cavalry tweed jacket on, and certainly leads in a winner or two, but he's starting to make waves in KwaZulu-Natal racing. So Ted, nice to have you on the show.
Thank you, James. Good to be here.
You, Breeders' Club, apparently you're involved now with them.
Yep, I'm one of the directors of KZN Breeders. Got an incredible bunch of directors there, incredibly passionate, and they elected me chairman late last year, so been catapulted into that position, which is really quite a position to be in, because, as I say, they're an awesome bunch of people, the directors particularly, and we've got a very passionate bunch. We unfortunately play second fiddle to the Cape, as is obvious. They have all the stallions at the moment down there, which are fetching all the high money, and it's necessary for our breeders to send their mares down to Cape Stallions in order to be competitive at the sales. After all, they're commercial breeders.
So the Breeders' Club as such, what do they do? Because I know that everyone's a member of it, but you have this fund that is, I think, comes from Gold Circle, doesn't it? Which rewards excellence. You get paid extra money for wins, places, whatever.
Yeah, there's the Breeders' Premium, which is supplied by Gold Circle under, I think it goes back to 1990, so that the winners are paid out a percentage at the end of the season or in the next season, and it's really designed to encourage people to invest in stock and produce the best they can. So the mares have to be domiciled in KZN, so they go off to the Cape, for example, or Maritzfontein, wherever they want to send to stallion, and then they have to come back and foal in KZN. So the foals are registered as KZN.
And you can you now go every year to a stallion outside the province, or I thought you had to every second year have to be?
No, it's been changed now. So
it has been changed.
Yes, yeah.
Which is hugely beneficial, because with your better mares you want to be able to go to the better stallions, and that does make sense because you're breeding them here. That's very important.
Well, we're constantly looking for, as a club, to buy a very decent stallion, and it's having, like all organisations, everybody has different ideas as to what they want. But at the end of the day, we had Crusade, for example, who unfortunately now has passed away. But he was an example of what can be done, and he's produced some nice horses, Crusade.
Yeah.
So we're looking for another one at the moment, and it's not that active, but we will be looking all the time. If the opportunity comes up, then we'll discuss it and hopefully go for it.
Okay, let's go back to the beginning, Ted Hughes's beginnings. You Irishman.
Well, family's Irish. I was, myself and my brother were the only two born outside of Ireland, from the fact my father left Ireland in 1940 to go and join the British Army to do his bit. And then...
so he fought in the Second World War?
Yes.
What was he, an infantryman?
No, artillery.
Artillery.
He was actually anti-aircraft. So they were frequently firebombed by the lead planes to try and knock them out before the bombers came through. So it was quite a hairy position to be in.
Horrible.
So he spent the rest of the war in that.
And where was he stationed on the sort of Dover side, that area?
He was stationed around London, and then he had to go up to Scapa Flow once Germany started attacking up there, and then he was brought back to London again, because obviously that was the highlight of everything.
And so you were born in England, actually?
Yes, I was born in Somerset, down the West Country.
Where's this allegiance of yours towards the Irish? Where do you get this from? You and Lafferty, you pseudo-Irishmen, you're not Irish.
Absolutely. Well, we both got Irish passports. We support Ireland because all of our families come from there. I try and go over, if not every year, at least every second year, to see my family and spend time with them.
Where are they?
They're in Dublin.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what about the EU and Brexit and this and that?
Oh, better not get me started on that.
How's it going with you guys with the Brexit?
Well,
I think you're getting railroaded by one Boris Johnson.
Well, I'm a great Leave fan, I must say. I would like to belong to the Brexit party if I was there. Touching on the Irish question, although I'm a Protestant Irish by default, funnily enough, the only cousins I see are my Catholic cousins. I'm very fond of them, very close with them. And religion doesn't play play the part it used to in Ireland anymore. So I would really like to see a united Ireland. It's one island, for goodness sake, but we have such religious intolerances still up in the north. But I'd like to ask each of them, so when were you last in church? So, and I think that's quite a poignant thing. They claim to be fiercely Catholic, fiercely Protestant.
Yeah.
But I think perhaps the Catholics are pretty much better at going to church than the Protestants these days.
Well, you're lucky Lafferty's not interviewing you. You know what he thinks about religion. He's a terrible agnostic.
Yeah. Well, each to his own, isn't it? Yeah.
Or atheist, I'm not sure. But, okay, so you're actually English, so we would now ascertained that. Horses, how did you get involved in horses?
Well, I was put on a horse when I was probably about 7 years old in Germany, where my father was stationed at the time at one of the forces holiday centres. Never forget a horse called, well, I can't remember, my brother was on one called Pete and I was on one called Texas, or vice versa. But that was the two horses' names. And I just really, really enjoyed it. I never had another chance to ride a horse until I was in military boarding schools until I was about 13. Then at the age of 14, we were sent back to England, and my father was stationed there. And I went to the local grammar school there, and I was a bit of an oddity because the only boy at school, some of the, not many, but a few of the girls rode, and I was the only boy. And I used to work in the Spar shop locally after hours, and then Saturdays to get my riding money for Sunday. And after about 6 months, they couldn't teach me anymore. So I was like a natural sponge, you know, just everything came in and stayed there. And then,
You loved it, obviously, from the beginning, yeah.
Yeah, first Gymkhana I went into and things like that. It was competitive and thoroughly enjoyed it. But then decided I just couldn't go any further with a local riding school. So literally across the road from my grammar school was a school called Millfield School, which has these days, if you Google it, has the incredible, they didn't play football. Lafferty would love going there. They've now got 19 football pitches at the school. They've got one of 8 Olympic swimming pools in the country, an athletics track that any city would be proud of. They do any sport. And the old headmaster in my day, R.J. O'Meara, who everybody called Boss, that was his name, he said it doesn't matter whether you're good at tiddlywinks or rugby or whatever. So long as you're good at something in this world, that's what we're asking you to concentrate on. Anyway, I took the bull by the horns one day and I walked across to through the car park, gravel car park. I'll never forget it. Went to the stables and spoke to the head groom there, and she said, "Well, Captain Hearn isn't here today. He'll be here tomorrow. Come back tomorrow." So I was waiting there in trepidation for him because he had a terrible reputation of being such a tough man. And I was leaning my arm over one of the loose boxes doors, talking to a horse, and he came swirling into the car with this big Morris Oxford estate, and he yelled out of the window, "What are you doing near my horses, boy?" Oh, God. So I went out and spoke to him in the car park, asked him, could I groom and muck out in return for exercising?
Yeah, some riding.
So he said, he just went, "All right, boy, we'll see what guts you've got. Tack up that horse there." And it was a grey, flea-bitten grey polo pony called Coco, K-O-K-O, had a mouth like iron, and he actually belonged to the Royal Navy, and so they didn't have the expense of putting the horses out to grass in the winter and looking after them. They lent them to the school. So anyway, we went down to the indoor school and got off, opened the door, closed it, got back on. He said, "Right, boy, we're going to gallop to the other end. If you pull up before me, then go back and take the tack off." I thought, good Lord. Okay, so with that, he whipped his trilby off, hit the horse behind, yeah, and off. So I matched him down there, and by the grace of God, I peeled off at the same time before I hit the sleepers. And he turned to me and I said, "Oh, I suppose I'll have to give you a chance then." So he took me under his wing, and after about 3 months of mucking out, grooming, doing some exercising, I was also practicing in the polo pit, you know, with the wire sides, the concrete slopes. Yeah. So every chance I got was in there practicing with a stick and ball. And after about 3 months, we just started the practice for the season for polo. So it was 10 k's away, a place called King Weston. And when we got up there, he said, "Hughes, would you like to have a go?" "Oh, thanks, sir, yeah, very keen. So he said, jump on old Zealot there. This Anglo-Arab 16-1, looked like a hat rack, he'd never get any weight on him. So I went down the pitch in 3 hits, and I got to the other end, and I heard this, yes! And oh, God, I've obviously gone too fast or something. So anyway, I cantered back, tapping the ball, and he said, why aren't you at this school, boy? Well, I said, sir, my father's an RSM in the army. You know, the fees here are more than my father's salary, with due respect to my father. He, don't worry about that. And he jumped in his car and he drove off. And apparently he had 2 ways of going in the headmaster's office. Was to tap the door gently and doff his trilby as he went in, and afternoon, Jack. The other way was like he went in this day. He just barged the door open and said, now look here, Moya, I want this boy in the school. And the headmaster was actually interviewing an Arab prince and his wife and child. So, but Roy, can you see I'm actually busy at the moment? Yes, you've got him in, he's fine. So, yeah, just remember, Moya, I want him in. So off he went, came back and said to me, right, you'll be asked to come for an interview. So I was stunned by this, obviously, it's a huge turn of events. And boss loved to tell me the story. He told it to me several times. And door closed, he carried on with the interview. And at the end of it, the fees were £10,000 in those days. And the Arab prince pulled out his checkbook and he said, I believe it's 10,000. So boss said, well, normally it is, but in your case it's 20. He said, look, money's not a problem, but I'm just curious as to why. He said, well, you heard the riding master. He wants this boy in, he can't afford it. So therefore your son must pay for this boy. That was him in life. He could do incredible things and get away with them.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So you ended up going to a pretty damn decent school without your father paying anything.
No. And
what
then,
did your parents say about that?
Well, they were over the moon because he gave me an opportunity in life.
Yeah.
And then, give you an example, I used to sit next to Elizabeth Taylor's son in economics, Haile Selassie's grandson in maths. But I'm sure everybody knows from the World War II movies what a Nissen hut looks like, those half-round iron. That's what we were taught in.
Yeah.
It was an old RAF camp. So, and we had an average class size of 7. So when I went there, my reason to be after school was to go to the army. So boss said to me, well, I see you've given up physics, and maths is very important, so you're going to have tutorials in those. So there I am with several lessons a week, just myself and the tutor, bring me up to speed in physics.
You're obviously quite a bright chap, yeah?
No, you can be hammered. It can be hammered into you.
Okay, so the education now is secondary to your riding, but you're in the right place and you're now riding. Where do you go from here? What did you want to do? What was your calling as far as being
my calling when I went
equestrian?
there was I was also a pretty good swimmer.
Yeah.
So because in the Far East, I mean, you only are at school till 12:20 in the day. The rest of the time you're in the garrison swimming pool. So just purely by fooling around in the pool, swimming and playing water polo, etc., you actually develop into quite a good swimmer. Because just naturally, it's a hell of a way of doing it. But my idea was to follow my father and get a commission in the army, etc. But then obviously as the riding progressed and I became captain of riding, as the senior boys called there, we had guys like Gareth Edwards, JPR Williams there, also on scholarships.
Good rugby players.
The best.
And did you play?
I played once.
Yeah.
Yeah, we played 20 against 15. But no, that's the only time I've ever played.
Yeah.
Riding was my passion, you know, up 4 o'clock every morning to ride work in the winter. I used to ride out for a couple of local trainers to get me fit and strong, etc. And obviously we did hunting as well, which was a wonderful proving ground for steeplechasers because you meet all sorts of fences while you're out hunting. You don't know what the going is like. It can be thick mud, can be hard. You're galloping down the side of tarred roads, jumping ditches. So it's a great proving ground for
And who did you hunt with?
I hunted with West Somerset Vale and Blackmore Vale,
Okay.
which became the Blackmore and, trying to think of their correct name, they're 2 hunts amalgamated.
Yeah.
But West Somerset was over, they're called reens, these ditches that divide the fields because it's very wet down there.
Yeah.
And I was very fortunate, I was awarded the Hunt Button while I was there for standing in a ditch with a horse which was drowning, while they got a tractor to pull him out. Which, it was nearly the end of me as well. It was so cold. But
Did you get blooded?
yes, I did. Yes. I think most people regard it as pretty barbaric these days. I know a fox is a very small animal compared with the size of a hound.
Yeah.
But I do understand the original intent was obviously, foxes have plenty of cubs, etc., and they cause chaos.
Yeah.
Chickens, etc.
Listen, I'm a pro, so you know, I'm a pro.
but a lot of
hunting
people who are
person.
watching probably won't be. You know, so,
You know, everyone's got an opinion, and that's wonderful. That's what it's like all about. But okay, so you now developed into this equestrian, but you could swim. So what you must have got into sport, because you look like a sporting type of guy.
well, used to be. Age catches up. I loved it, as I say, hunting, racing, polo. Each season is different. We never had any show jumping there, so I used to show jump occasionally for other people who wanted a horse schooled and things like that. Because obviously with the education I had from Captain Hearn was the best in the world. He was a fellow of the Institute of the Horse, which there weren't many people that qualified. He'd been an active cavalry officer in the First World War.
Was he related to Dick Hearn?
That's Dick Hearn's father. And
Gracious.
the way it worked for me was that Dick Hearn being his son, he took him under his wing and developed Dick Hearn into the wonderful horseman he became, trainer, etc. Then Ian Balding was at the school as well some years later, so he took Ian Balding under his wing and tutored him more or less individually. And then I was the luckiest guy in the world, because then he did it to me as well. So it gave me all the education in the formal aspect of horses. He was the most wonderful artist, and he would explain things in great detail all the time, so you could actually understand what was happening with the horse's physique. Obviously nutrition in those days, nothing like it is today.
Yeah.
And also the injuries we used to get, as you know from National Hunt, one of the worst things you could always get was a tendon from the going. And that was my first day at school, was a mare I'll never forget it, she called Miss Danget II, standing in a box with a tendon that had almost gone below the fetlock. It was the worst I'd ever encountered before or since. And she had to wait for 4 hours to, 4 days before she was put down, because the insurance company were arguing over whether it could be repaired or not.
Always the same.
But it was totally beyond repair. A blind man could have seen it.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Well, that's why insurance companies make money. They try and get out of paying anything that they can.
Well, I'm in
But-
transport, I know that.
Yeah, you're in transport. We'll talk about transport. I think we should come back, because I think we've got lots to chat about. So let's take a break. Next week we'll be back with Ted Hughes to see where we go from there, because there's a man with an interesting story. Don't miss it.